What up, everybody? It's your girl July from Kickback Couture, and today we're going to talk about how AI music theory plugins changes the landscape of everything, and we're going to make this in the process. Let's get straight into it. The first way AI music theory changes everything is the ability to generate chords. So this is InstaChord 2, and in InstaChord 2, right here to the left, we have the area where all the chords are, and they can be triggered by pressing these keys, the chords A and chords B sections. And then below it, we have an area where we can set the key. Let's say we do F, and we can set the scale. We have all these scales, and then we could generate chords that sound good together. We can set it to either chord set A or chord set B. I'm going to set it to chord set A, and then I can play these chords by activating a pick, and then as I'm pressing the pick, which starts on C3, I can change the chord. In addition to being able to generate chords, InstaChord 2 can also act as a learning tool. So it has a chord bank. So for example, let's say I want to put my own chord progression in here. I could just set the root notes for the chords I want. And then in here, I have an entire bank of different chords I can select. You can even add your own user chords in third-party banks and whatnot. So for here, let me go ahead and add some chords. I'm going to start with a F minor 7th chord. I just put in 4 chords on the white keys specifically so that I can trigger them with InstaChord. So I'm going to go to my pattern, and let's actually go to the default pattern so it just plays a straight chord for now. And let's hear what this sounds like. Here's a bonus pro tip. If you come into the voicing area in the chord section, if you change it from basic to wide, you can get a brighter sound depending on where your octave is. There's a couple different voicing options, but pro tip, mess with these and see what you can get. That brings us to number 2. Not only are we able to use the chord bank and generate our own chords for progressions, but we can also customize the chords. So if I go to this G major chord area, I have an A major down here. So let's try to change it to an A major 7. Let's add a 13th. So now this one sounds like this. And that'll give us some variation from this first chord we did, the A major 7, by just adding the 13th. And for the one above it, let's do another D major chord and add a 13th to that as well. Now, to customize the chord, let's go to this A major 7, add 13 chord, and customize this chord. We're going to click on Create Manually. And from here, we have all of the different locations of each note, the voicing, right? So let's choose the root and change that to the 5th. And you can go through this and change whatever you would like to, really. So let's hear what this would sound like. So that's what it sounds like when we drop the root placement to the 5th below. And originally, it was like this. Pro tip number 2, you can change the octaves and transpose. So with this chord, we can click on this octave, drop it down or bring it up. In addition to that, we can transpose all of the chords we have set up in this instance of InstaChord up, and it's doing it to everything, not just one chord. Back to the action. This brings us to number 3, riffs, strums, and patterns. So InstaChord 2 specifically has the ability to generate different patterns for you. So it has this AI generation button right here. If you press it, it'll generate a different pattern. And you can go in and customize it, add notes, change the rhythm. All right. And in addition to having the AI, you can also just make sure you select the pattern you want to change. It was already selected. And then you have a drop down area here of arpeggios, strums, riffs, and legacy picks, which are arpeggios, strums, and riffs from the previous version of InstaChord. So we're going to go to strums, and let's try strum 007 F end, right? And this should sound like this. So complete game changer to now have to strum after the fact. You could just strum inside of InstaChord itself. This is actually a good segue for the last one, which is number 4, flexibility. You can use up to 2 octaves of picks, different patterns, strums, riffs, etc., everything that we've seen here, and up to 2 banks of chords, which is what we see here. Right now we're looking at chord A, but we can switch and look at chords B, which would be this octave here, this octave of keys. So we can go in here to this drop down area, add an arpeggio, cycle through and see something you like, hear something you like, add notes if we want to change that. And we can fill all of these up. We have all the white keys and all the black keys, and we have the picks A section and the picks B section. So we can lock these if we don't want to mess anything up. Same goes for chords A and B. You can lock things if you want to keep things in place and experiment with something else. Have fun with it. After all of that demonstrating, let me show you what I built. Now, of course, this has yet to be arranged, but you get the point. AI music theory plugins are great tools for kickstarting your creativity. The only downside is that some of them require a little bit of pre-existing music theory knowledge. The great thing about InstaChord 2 is that it has the chord bank there for you. It will generate chords for you. It would even help you with a pattern via AI or the pattern bank that exists inside of it already. Now, I just touched the surface on setting it up by yourself, but there are also some presets in here that you can check out. Alright, so you got factory presets and the legacy presets from the previous version, and they will be expanding on this library of presets and chord progressions, strums, and arps. If you want to check out InstaChord 2, I'll have a link to it in the description of this video. Definitely let me know what you would like to see next. It's all culture, kickback, and cook up. AI is going absolutely crazy.